Hey everybody, Arch here. So, in the shop, and today is Saturday, December 14th, which is the 1 year anniversary of me getting my Submariner. So I thought I'm gonna turn the machines off and go down to the workstation over here and talk about my Submariner. All right, everybody. So I'm going to do my best to keep this relatively short. I'm sure there's going to be some rambling involved. I have no notes. I've just kind of like talking out of the seat of my pants here. I thought I would go ahead and compare it to the Tudor Pelagos that I've done a few videos on, wearing my 40 millimeter Explorer 1 today because it's Saturday. And so this this is the 126610LN, or the current Submariner as of this video. Man, what a watch. So this Submariner has been on this is my absolute daily wear watch. I wear this watch here in the shop every single day. I wear it out and about every single day. It honestly has made this Pelagos basically obsolete for me. I still really like the titanium aspect of the Pelagos. But man, I like every single thing about the Submariner better. Mainly, I just find the Sub to be just more of an inspiration for me. It absolutely, yeah, that's basically it. It inspires me to do as well as I can, to do better in the shop, to make things that go with a Rolex, and just keep my shit together, I suppose. Not that that's needed, but I find it very enjoyable. I feel like the Sub brightens my day just from a tool and gear, on my person standpoint, a good bit more than the Pelagos. So I just feel like that offers just as much value as shit. I mean, I've had people say like, I can't believe you're wearing that Sub in the shop every day. You're losing value on it or whatever. But I'm like, well, shit, man. What's the value of my day? What's the value of my day for every day for 20 years? I mean, shit. Let's say this watch, these are like 11K out the door, worth, something like 13, maybe if it's in pristine shape. And in 20 years, maybe it's worth $20,000 or something like that. But how much is the value of every single day of my life in those 20 years? I mean, shouldn't I be able to treat myself? I don't even know. I mean, shit, surely that value is worth more than $7,000 over the course of 20 years, So, I mean, shit, that right there is like enough incentive to me to just be like, enjoy this watch as many days as possible. And if as many days as possible is every day, then shit, make this your everyday watch. So that's kind of what it's become. The Pelagos I do really like. I think it's a fantastic watch. It would be one of my highest recommended watches at the price range of, $5,000. But honestly, for me, one of the biggest things is just the chunkiness, just how chunky the Pelagos is it really, on my day-to-day wearing and use, it's just so much more banging around on shit. In every way, the clasp, the head, the whole thing. And then just like using the bezel, I've actually broken the bezel on my Rolex. I use it so much. I use it literally 15 times a day. And at some point, I got enough grit in there that I screwed it up. It's no longer locking back in place. But it's funny is it doesn't have the sound anymore, but it still has the same feel. So, and to be honest, when I went and picked up my Explorer, they noticed that. They're like, "Oh, you broke the bezel, and we can, fix that for you." But to be honest, I actually like it this way because, say, I go just a little bit past, I can just go boop right back to where I wanted it to be. And because this is not a life or death, watch for me, I'm not using it for diving. It's fine if it gets knocked off a little bit by accident. And like I said, there's a good amount of friction or tension on it where I think it'd be pretty difficult to accidentally knock it off. So at the end of the day, I'm particular about my gear and I want it to be perfect, but being able to move this right back onto that minute I'm trying to time is very useful for me. So I'm just like, fuck it. I actually like it better broken. So that's kind of that. I think that's all I really need to do to compare it to the Pelagos. Let's mention the materials, the titanium, grade 2 titanium versus the 904L that Rolex uses. I will say I would prefer all day, every day, the product to be made out of titanium. Obviously, I would choose grade 5 if I had a choice. Because you can see here, this had about a year of daily wear here in the shop on it, and this has about a year of daily wear in the shop on it, and they're pretty damn similar. A lot of people say, oh, grade 2 is a lot more prone to scratches. I don't know, man. Like, I don't baby these watches, either one of them, at all. Like, I'm not holding back on anything. But at the same time, I'm aware that it's on my wrist, and I'm like not trying to scrape it and scratch it onto shit on purpose, And there are times where like I'm working on, repairing my toilet or something like that, and I'll take it off for that because I'm reaching behind there. I'm definitely gonna scuff the shit out of it on the, rough porcelain of the underside of the toilet or whatever it is. I'm likely to take it off in that case. But I generally don't give it a second thought. That's basically it for the Pelagos. We'll go ahead and get that out of the way. I might take it back. I might put it back for some other reasons. I guess I should mention my wait time for getting this watch from, I went to 2 different, I think I probably mentioned this in the Pelagos video, but I'll go ahead and wipe down the crystal. I did go to 2 different ADs for this watch. I went to Ben Bridge Jewelers, which is where I got the Pelagos. And I was on their list for a couple months. And then a friend of mine was like, hey, I'm going to go to my AD at it's Cherry Creek Mall in Denver. And the jeweler is Hyde Park Jewelers. And they actually have a separate little Rolex boutique. Not little, it's actually a pretty big Rolex boutique there. That's like a separate storefront. They're like suite mates or something like that, but like you can go in directly into the Rolex boutique on the left, you can go directly into the Tudor boutique on the right, and then they actually have like a separate I'm having a brain fart, Omega boutique, and a couple of other different ones like that. It's a very cool spot. I highly recommend, if you guys are in Denver and you like watches, go to Hyde Park Jewelers. Definitely skip Ben Bridge Jewelers. It's a joke. That is like one of the places that's like the horror stories you hear is Ben Bridge. It is a jewelry store that sells Rolex, where my experience with Hyde Park has been just like top shelf. I'll never go back. If Ben Bridge called me tomorrow and offered me like, say, a Daytona, I probably would say no just out of principle. Which is the watch that I'm on the list for next in Hyde Park. So, yeah, I'm telling you, like the Ben Bridge guy, it's every horror story you ever heard. Like, I mean, just bad experience, not one good experience. And then shifting over to visiting the other AD Carlos over at Hyde Park, it's the opposite of what everybody else would say. Everybody would say, "Oh no, Hyde Park is like that's the fancy Rolex boutique in Denver. That's where everyone goes." Like everyone told me, even the Hyde Park guys, even the guy who gave me both of who allotted me or whatever allocated me both of these watches, even he told me like you're probably gonna have better luck at Ben Bridge because they're a smaller dealer, like less people go there. But alas, from the time of first talking to Carlos, who's the manager of the Rolex boutique at Hyde Park Jewelers in Denver, to him calling me to come pick up this watch was 3 months. So I mean, pretty damn fast. But at the same time, I think he could just tell, I'm enthusiastic about it. At the time, you guys saw I'm in the shop. I'm a data-driven and based person. Like I take in a lot of information. I take in so much information that I personally use it until I need it, and then it's gone. So like, unfortunately, this isn't gonna be the Submariner expert video. But I was able to have all that data at my fingertips and really, rattle off every single detail about like all kinds of terminology about the movement. I knew all this stuff. Like, and he was just like, holy shit. Like I could tell, he even told me, he was like, you might know more about this movement and watch than I do. And I was like, well, I'm into it. But again, that was just for the purposes of researching watches, where I'm like, fuck, man, I'm looking at an $11,000. If I'm looking at considering an $11,000 watch that you have to suck the AD's dick to get, I'm going to fucking do some research on this shit where I can just like walk right in and get a JLC, a Panerai. I could walk right in and get any Omega that I want. I can get any Tudor that I want. I can get any Grand Seiko that I want. I can get all these prestigious brands of watches. I'm going to fucking research all that shit. And so I did. And like the Submariner specifically, and the, God, now I'm having a brain fart. The 3235, 3230, I think is what it is, movement. Same movement that's in these two watches, except one has a date function and one does not. All things pointed to like this being the watch, and that comes from a standpoint of fit, finish, reliability, serviceability, again, like build quality, engineering and the movement specifically, fucking shock resistance, water resistance, reliability. Sure, you could say whether it holds its value or not. I mean, that's, you have to be, obviously that just is inherent with a Rolex. So, but there's just so many aspects that I took into it where I'm just like, fuck, man, like literally 99 out of 100 of all the criteria that I could possibly be interested in was just like, that's the one. And if you're going to spend $11,000 on a watch, give it a little schmallish here. Like, this is the one, I wanted to like so many different other watches. Like the Zenith Defy, man, that's a cool watch. But then like once you start really breaking it down, the way the lugs attach is just fucking stupid. The clasp is just subpar compared to this. Movement, I think, is subjective, but I'm a believer in especially just like the shock resistance and durability of this watch's movement. 72-hour power reserve. I mean, get the fuck out of here with that. That is incredible. I think the only thing that really can touch that is some of the Grand Seiko, having a brain fart, the half electric movements. And I'm just kind of like, I feel like that's just not that sexy. I know that it's cool and all this stuff, but I feel like a completely no electricity mechanical movement is just, I just find it to be more charming. So again, all signs point to this, especially like you start fucking around, even with the other Rolex offerings. You start fucking around with the clasp and like looking at the details and the fit and finish of the bracelet. And like, I mean, there's nothing like the glide lock out there. The T-fit is pretty fucking cool. I think this, if this didn't have all the stupid spring bullshit in there, this would be a great class. Not great, but it'd be a good class. Not comparable to this though. Honestly, like the way this glide lock works, the function of the mechanism, just how snappy all this stuff is, shit just isn't as comparable to this. Like, it just isn't. Like, I would say, man, I would go as far as like to say something along the lines of, like, the only thing, like, this makes a Tudor feel like a Seiko, and a Seiko or a Tudor makes a Grand Seiko seem like a Seiko. I don't know, like, I guess I'm just biased, but I just feel like in just so many ways, especially that clasp and the bracelet, and like, again, I said the movement, this thing just like started to outshine to where it literally was like, I'm not interested in watches. I'm interested in this watch, you know? And then after I had this watch, you know, he's like, well, if you want to be on the list for something else, what would you like? Got on the list for the Explorer. I think this guy took like 7 months to get when I was on the list. But he told me that. He was like, you know, we really are trying to spread out the love while at the same time, you know, make sure that we're taking care of our repeat customers. And so, yeah, I feel like he said, you know, maybe up to a year to get a second watch, but we'll see. And then, yeah, I got the call for this watch. And I mean, it's literally like, there's no bullshit. Like, he is not, like, this guy is not calling me and offering me, fuck, you know, the Ben Bridge guy offered me a goddamn bullshit ass, like, date just or something. He like, I was like, get the fuck out of here. And I literally was like, dude, I want to respect your time and I want you to respect my time. And I was like, you know, not to be a shithead or anything like that, but like, do not call me and offer me something that I'm not on the list for. Like, I had to tell the Ben Bridge guy that. I never had to tell Carlos over at Hyde Park that. I was on the list for #1 acquisition being a Submariner, called me for a Submariner. I was on the list for #1 acquisition being the 40 millimeter, you know, Rolex, Explorer 1. That's what he called me for. Next, I said, you know, I'm interested in a chronograph, and honestly, I got to be honest with you, man. I've researched every single chronograph, and I know that there's pros and cons behind all of them, but like, there is not anything that like the full picture is achieved for me than the Daytona. And I'm like, it's not that I even want another Rolex. I don't want another Rolex. I just, if I'm gonna get a chronograph, like, there's certain things start to fall apart for me on the purchase. And like, again, it really starts to come back to, this isn't a Daytona review, obviously. Hopefully I will get to do one of those at some point, but everything starts to fall apart when it comes to all the other parts, you know, the clasp, the bracelet, different parts like that. And then you start looking at the movements and stuff, and just how bulky some of the other chronographs are. And it's like, fuck, man, like, they just start to lose little points here and there, where I'm just like, why am I fucking around with buying something that I'm not just like head over heels for? Again, when I bought the Pelagos, this was the watch I was going for. And that mainly was because like, it was like a price point thing and availability thing. When I went to buy this watch, if they had offered me a Submariner, I would have bought that instead. Because I would have just like gone, you know, this is the daddy company of this. So, I mean, this is going to be the better thing. So I literally would have just been like, I'm going to roll the dice and hopefully it actually is the better thing. Turns out that it is, you know, now that I have both of them in hand. Even though I love titanium and I'm, you know, whatever, couldn't care less about stainless steel. I would go titanium all day, every day. Like, if this watch was on the table and it was $3,000 more in titanium, I would go that route. Just because, again, that's $3,000 spread out over, you know, hopefully 20 plus years or whatever, however long I end up wearing this watch. I'm 47. However long I end up, you know, enjoying this watch, that's just not that fucking much, you know, at the end of the day. And I am absolutely blessed, and I don't take it for granted that I can put that down payment on the enjoyment of my life. But I am banking. It's not like I'm buying this and throwing it away. I am investing in a day-to-day recreational experience that goes with me on every single adventure and you know, happenstance that I have in my life. You know, these watches are just like how knives are, you know, and the pry bars that I make. These are companions that are designed to go with you on your adventures and aid you through those. That's probably where I'll leave it at this video. Plenty more to talk about, but love the watch. I'll probably do another Explorer 1 video before I go doing another update on this. Just kind of show you the clasps here. And again, this watch is my weekend watch. So I'm not necessarily, the only way that I'm babying it is I'm not wearing it in this shop. But I don't have any interest in necessarily babying this watch either. Yeah, I want it to be nice. This is like as close as I'm ever going to get to having a dress watch. So this kind of is my dress watch, but at the same time, I don't mind it having a little bit of character. As a matter of fact, I think it kind of looks lame, all shiny without scratches. I think the current state of it is a little bit like a bitch's watch, like a man bitch's watch. But that's okay for those man bitches out there. The world needs man bitches, I guarantee it. Palabra tu madre. Questions, comments, concerns, smart remarks. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend.